Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we've been asked to talk tonight about Jhulan Yatra, so we can say something about this amazing festival that's going on. Last 2 days, today and tomorrow will be the last day, ending on Balaram Jayanti, Balaram Purnima. So usually this happens just once a year, obviously this time of the year, but this year was our 50th anniversary of Shri Radha Gopinath, so we were very fortunate earlier on this year in May to have Radha Gopinath's Julian constructed just as beautifully as it is this time around as well. So we can thank the hard work of our decorations team and our garlands team as well. Very dedicated devotees, spending so much time and effort beautifully decorating Shri Radha Gopinath and their paraphernalia. So about this festival, I just thought I'd just share some facts with you first. So this is a festival which occurs in the month of Shravan. So Shravan month is occurring from July, August, and Shravan month, basically the season of Shravan, or the months of Shravan, they signify the monsoon season. So it's the rainy season, which happens after summertime in Vrindavan. And in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada said that Jhulan Yatra should be celebrated for a total of 5 days. So usually we start this festival of Jhulan Yatra on it's celebrated during the bright fortnight of the month of Shravan. So during the phase of the waxing moon. And we start celebrating it on the Ekadashi. So the most recent Ekadashi, which is the 11th day of the waxing or the waning moon. But this is the bright fortnight, so it's the waxing moon. So the Ekadashi is the 11th day, so it was the Pavitropana Ekadashi, which was here just a few days back, so that's when we started. And after Ekadashi, there's Dvadasi, which is the 12th day, then there's Trayodasi, then there's Chaturdasi. So that's the 14th day. And then after the 14th day, after Chaturdasi, then again we start with the full moon, Purnima, so that's again day 1. So usually it's 5 days, Ekadashi, Dvadasi, Trayodasi, Chaturdasi, and then Purnima. So it finishes, Jhulan Yatra finishes on Purnima, Balaram Purnima, which is tomorrow. But for some reason this year, Trayodasi is not there. So today is actually the eve of Purnima, so it's actually technically Chaturdasi. So we had Ekadashi, then we had Dvadasi, and then we skipped this year for some reason Trayodasi. And we've gone straight to Chaturdasi, and then it will be Purnima tomorrow. So this year, for some reason, we celebrate Jhulan Yatra just for 4 days. But in Vrindavan itself, where this festival originates, devotees in some temples, of course there's more than 5,000 temples of Krishna in Vrindavan, so each temple celebrates it slightly differently. But some temples in Vrindavan, they start celebrating this earlier on, before Ekadashi. So sometimes the festival goes for a period of 13 days. Sometimes it goes for 7 days. So for 13 days or 7 days continuously. Radha Krishna, Radha Gopinath are swung. And sometimes it goes for 5 days, or normally it's for 5 days. This year it's for 4 days. And every temple in Vrindavan, practically every temple in Vrindavan celebrates Jhulan Yatra. It's one of the biggest festivals in Vrindavan. To some degree or another, but 2 of the most famous temples in Vrindavan which really celebrate Jhulan Yatra in a grand way is the famous Banki Bihari temple and the Radha Raman temple. And just how we were chanting today, we were chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So when Radha Krishna, Radha Gopinath are being swung, devotees normally chant the Hare Krishna mantra kirtan. They also sing 2 other bhajans, which we've also been singing. Dear Guru Prabhu has been very nicely singing these bhajans. So today we sang Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. So this bhajan is sung. Or otherwise, Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan. So this is the other bhajan which is traditionally sung during Jhulan Yatra festival. This is a very intimate pastime of Radha Krishna. Now if we know the Leela, which we'll be briefly touching on today, of like why this festival actually came to be in Vrindavan, we'll be talking about this festival from two aspects, and I'll explain that a bit later. But this is a very intimate pastime. It takes place in the forest groves of Vrindavan, and it happens between Radha and Krishna and Srimati Radharani's intimate maidservants, her Sakhis and her Manjaris and the other gopis who are servants of Srimati Radharani. So Srila Prabhupada is very magnanimous and very compassionate upon us to introduce this festival within ISKCON. And even though we're performing largely sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi bhakti, Srila Prabhupada is often glorified for introducing aspects of intimate devotional service. For example, in the morning program, we're glorifying Srimati Tulsi Marani, and we're asking Tulsi Marani to please make us her maidservant and give us service for Radha Krishna. So this is something very intimate, but Srila Prabhupada has very expertly incorporated that within the realm of Vidhi Marg, within the realm of Vaidhi Bhakti. So in the same way, so many devotees, I mean now unfortunately the lockdown is on, but usually practically everyone in the congregation, people from outside, they come and they get the rare opportunity to swing Radha Krishna, a service which is done by the most intimate devotees of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan, in Golok Vrindavan. And devotees offer flowers to their lordship, devotees offer personal prayers to Radha Krishna, and obviously they also swing the deities as well. And this is a festival which is not just happening in Vrindavan, although that's where it originates from, but it happens in various parts all around India. And one of the main places outside of Vrindavan where this Jhulan Yatra festival takes place is Jagannath Puri. So there, Krishna, Dwarkadish, but he's in the mood of, Lord Jagannath is in the mood of Shyam Sundar, as we know. But he's playing the role, he's playing the position as the king in Dwarka. So his consort is Lakshmi Devi or Srimati or Rukmini Devi. So the Vijay Utsava, the Utsava Murti of Jagannath, just like how Radha Gopinath, the bigger original deities which Srila Prabhupada installed, they don't come out themselves and sit on the swing. They're the fixed deities, but then we have the smaller deities. So in each Radha Krishna temple, you'll have the smaller deities. They're called the Utsava deities, and they're the deities that are taken on procession, or they're invited down from the altar to take their bhoga, they're put to bed, etc. So Lord Jagannath, he has his Utsava Murti as well, his Vijay Utsava Murti, and his name is Madan Mohanji. And Madan Mohanji, every year during this month of Shravan, along with Lakshmi, Rukmini Devi, they're placed, they're invited upon to sit upon a very beautifully constructed wooden swing in Jagannath Puri. And just as it's performed in all the ISKCON temples around the world, and in Vrindavan, similarly this festival is performed in Jagannath Puri as well. So like this, it's a festival which originates in Vrindavan, but is carried out in various places in India, throughout India, and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, throughout the entire world. Radhanath Maharaj was saying something interesting. He said, Srila Prabhupada, he was in Vrindavan for about 9 or 10 years. Right? He was writing his Srimad Bhagavatam, he was chanting Hare Krishna, visiting the different temples there. And we think that Srila Prabhupada left Vrindavan to come to the West. Right? We usually say that. But actually, Srila Prabhupada never left Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada took Vrindavan with him. He brought Vrindavan with him across the Jaladuta. And he took Vrindavan to America, to Australia, to Africa, to Europe, to England, to all these different countries. So Srila Prabhupada actually never left Vrindavan. We hear Mora Mana Vrindavan. Vrindavan Yes, it's the physical place, but more importantly, Vrindavan is a state of consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada took that, Vrindavan, and he gave us Vrindavan. So by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are currently situated in Vrindavan because our dear beloved Radha Gopinath are here, and we're engaged in their very intimate pastimes. So I'll just read something which Srila Prabhupada has said. Two things I found here. This is from a letter to His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj in August of 1969. Srila Prabhupada is explaining how this Jhulan Yatra festival should be carried out. Srila Prabhupada says, regarding Jhulan Yatra ceremony, during these 5 days, the deity's clothing should be changed every day. And there should be nice prasadam distribution and sankirtan as far as possible. Right, so normally we do that before Radha Gopinath. Like we've timed it in our temple in such a way that it happens straight after Gaura Arati. It doesn't have to happen like that. But just before Gaura Arati, Shri Radha Gopinath, they take their bhoga. So they take their prasadam, and this prasadam is distributed as well. And there should be nice prasadam distribution and sankirtan as far as possible. So obviously devotees are singing as the festival is going on. If you are able to do it, a nice throne may be constructed on which the deities can be placed. So this is the swing. This throne may be swung gently during kirtan. That will be very good. And Srila Prabhupada says, and surely the deities will enjoy the function. So Srila Prabhupada says something else. This is in a Srimad Bhagavatam class on the 10th of August 1976 in Tehran, in Iran. So Srila Prabhupada here is talking about how in the material world we have to keep on working. We're busy working, doing karmic activities, which result in material piety and material impiety, sinful life. But in the spiritual world, Krishna and Krishna's associates are just enjoying. So we have to practice this Krishna consciousness. Here in this material world, we have to work. Without work, you cannot maintain even your family, your body. That is not possible. Sharira yatrapi tena prasidyet akarmana. Krishna says to Arjuna that without karma, you cannot maintain even your body. So you have to work. And this material world means you have to maintain by working. So that's the material world. Now Srila Prabhupada says in the lecture, what happens in the spiritual world? And spiritual world means natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. There is nothing to work. As Krishna has nothing to work, he is simply enjoying. Then Srila Prabhupada says, what is called? He asks the devotees in the audience. What is called? Swing. Swing. So Krishna is enjoying, sitting on the swing. Yeah, so Krishna is enjoying. And Krishna's associates are enjoying as well. They have nothing to work. That is spiritual world. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpa vriksha. That is a different world. There is no material body. Therefore, there is no need of the material body. That is a different world. But in this material world, we have to work. Shriya kanta kanta paramam purusho kalpaturavo truma bhumish chintamani ganamai toyam amritam. Lord Brahma explains when he gets his darshan of the spiritual world, Shriya kanta kanta parama purusha. The parama purusha, Krishna, the supreme male Krishna, is enjoying being served by thousands and thousands of Shriya, which are goddesses of fortune, the cowherd damsels of Vrindavan, Kanta, in a very lovingly and pleasingly way. Druma bhumis chintamani ganamayi toyam amritam. So this land of Vrindavan, it's so nice. Everything is, all the roads there are constructed, all the paths are constructed with chintamani touchstones. Toyam amritam, the water is just like nectar. Katha ganam natyam gamanam api vamshi priyasaki. Whatever is spoken, katha. Katha ganam. Ganam means whatever words are spoken, they're just like songs. Natyam gamanam. When devotees are walking from one place in Vrindavan to another place in Vrindavan, they're dancing. So there's no walking, everyone is dancing in kirtan all the time. Api vamshi priyasaki. Krishna's dear flute is his most dear companion in Vrindavan. Sayatra kshirabdi sravati surabhi bhyash sumahan. The cows in Vrindavan, the surabhi cows, the wish-fulfilling cows, There's wish-fulfilling trees, and there's the wish-fulfilling cows, the Kamadhenus as well. They're giving rivers and rivers of milk in Vrindavan. Nimeshardakhyavana vrajati yatrapi samaya. Time, the time aspect, which steals everything in the spiritual world. It steals our life, it steals all of our relatives from us, everything we've accumulated, it takes everything away. Time in Golok Vrindavan is conspicuous by its absence. You won't see the effects, the devastating effects of time that you do see in the mature world, in Vrindavan, in Golok Vrindavan, in the spiritual world. So like this, there's a beautiful description of Golok Vrindavan given by Lord Brahma. And it shows us that it's a place simply of enjoyment, where one doesn't have to work there to maintain oneself. One simply serves Krishna. So we're going to talk, I'm going to discuss this pastime of Jhulan Yatra from two different angles. The first is from the perspective of the environmental situation in Vrindavan, which prompts this festival, this Jhulan Yatra festival, to take place. So first is from the environmental situation, perspective. The second perspective as to why this Jhulan Yatra festival takes place is based on a custom or tradition, a local custom or tradition, which happens in Vrindavan. So we'll talk about Vrindavan Dham, and just like recently we've been talking about Vrindavan, glorifying Vrindavan a little bit, especially from some of the prayers by Prabodhananda Saraswati. And we explained that Prabodhananda Saraswati, he prays that even if I get to taste and drink the Amrita, the nectarian somaras beverage that the demigods are drinking, which extends their lifespan, then he says, then what is that? And he says, even if I get to embrace the most beautiful apsaras from the heavenly planets, like Urvashi, the foremost of the apsaras, then he says, then what is that? And he says, even if I get to experience the bliss of Brahman, of existence, then he says, then what is that? All these things don't matter. He says, the blades of grass in Vrindavan simply laugh at these material desires and they spit at them. So that is the position of Vrindavan. There's another prayer that he says that if one has a loving attraction towards the simple rural wealth of Vrindavan. What is the wealth of Vrindavan? The cows, the dirt, the fertile land, the simple trees, the peacock feathers, the red oxide, right? The colors which come from the different minerals. This is the wealth of Vrindavan. It's not like Vaikuntha, where everything is opulent, everything's full of jewels and festoons and all this sort of stuff. Trumpets and flags, all these sort of things don't exist in Vrindavan. So if someone is in love with this wealth of Vrindavan, this simple wealth, he says this love for this type of wealth of Vrindavan, it defeats the wealth of millions and millions of kuveras. He says if someone loves the intelligence of the devotees in Vrindavan, how they use their pure intelligence to serve and assist in the intimate pastimes of Radha Krishna, then that love for the intelligence, that pure intelligence, conquers millions and millions of Brihaspatis, of the heavenly planets. He says Sri Vrindavan Dham is the most worshipable abode of great devotees like Shukadev Goswami, Narada Muni, and Prahlad Maharaj. So this is the Vrindavan Dham that we are talking about, and this is one of the most intimate pastimes which is taking place in Vrindavan Dham. So let's talk a bit about the environmental situation in Vrindavan first. Here in Australia we have 4 seasons: summer, autumn, winter, and spring. In Vrindavan, there's actually, I think there's 6 technically, but we can say 5 for the sake of example here, that we're in our context. So there's the monsoon season. So this monsoon season happens during the Shravan time, Shravan season time, the months of July and August. That's when the monsoon season is there. And this monsoon season takes place just after the heat of the summer. So monsoon, the rainy season in Vrindavan, occurs just after summer and just before autumn. So you have summer, autumn, winter, spring. So in Vrindavan it's summer, autumn, monsoon, autumn, winter, spring. So before this Shravan season comes, various festivals have been taking place in Vrindavan. In springtime, we have the famous Vasant Panchami festival. So we also celebrate it here in our temple as well. We dress the deities in yellow clothes, and the devotees also dress in yellow clothes as well. And we have, usually at that point in time in the northern hemisphere, they start planting new crops in their farms during the Vasant, during the springtime as well. And for Radha Krishna, devotees bathe them in flowers. So there's a grand Pushya Abhishek of Shri Radha Krishna. So that's springtime. After spring comes summer. So in Vrindavan, summertime is extremely hot. We know that the Guinness Book of World Records says that the highest temperature recorded on earth was actually at Govardhan. Right? So the normal temperature that you'll find in Vrindavan or in Delhi, that side of India, is about 45 degrees. It can reach about 45, sometimes even more, close to 50 or even more than 50. So it becomes very, very hot. So at this time of the year, in summertime, Jhulan Yatra takes place. Chandan is the pulp of the wood, of the sandalwood tree. So this pulp of the sandalwood tree is mixed with different auspicious ingredients like saffron, camphor, and musk. And for 21 days within the summer month, this chandan mixture is applied on the bodies of the deities of Shri Radha Krishna. So that's the festival, main festival that happens in the summertime. But then there's also another one. There's Siman Yatra. Siman Yatra is also another summertime festival. So after Jhulan Yatra comes Siman Yatra. Now we see that Siman Yatra is a very famous festival that happens in relation to Jagannath. It's a festival that is very big in Jagannath Puri. But actually this festival has its origin in Vrindavan. Right? And obviously Lord Jagannath is Krishna as well. So this festival is also celebrated elsewhere, and it's gained prominence in places like Jagannath Puri, in the Jagannath temple, but it originates in Vrindavan. So then in Vrindavan, the Brajabasis, they celebrate the Siman Yatra festival. And then after Siman Yatra festival, still in the summertime, is the Ratha Yatra festival, where the deities of Krishna, he comes out from the temple and he gives his darshan to all the devotees. Then comes, so that's summer, and then after summer comes the Shravan month, the monsoon month, and the prime festival in the monsoon month is Jhulan Yatra. So that's what we're celebrating right now. So obviously it's, coming on springtime here in the southern hemisphere, but right now in Vrindavan, the rainy season is on right now. The monsoon season is on. So a nice description is given of the monsoon season in Vrindavan. It's explained that at this period of time, over the horizon, every day, there'll be the formation of dark, gray, thundering clouds. I remember when I haven't experienced the monsoon season in India myself, but I remember experiencing it when I was in Malaysia for a couple of months. And I was in a little town called Ipoh, and it's like a valley. It's surrounded by this mountain range. And every single afternoon, exactly at the same time, at about 2 o'clock, you will see thundering dark rain clouds coming over the mountains into the valley. They'll come, they'll rain for about an hour or something, and then they'll go. And this would happen every single day of the monsoon season, at least in Malaysia where I was at. So obviously we can say the same thing is happening in Vrindavan as well. So we should not forget that these dark thundering clouds are actually devotees of Krishna. They're not just a mass of water vapor, they're actually devotees of Krishna. And there's a nice exchange which is happening between these clouds. So Radhanath Maharaj explains that one of the names of Krishna is Ganasham. Right? Ganasham means one who is darkish like the blackish, bluish, thundering rain cloud. So when Krishna in Vrindavan sees these thundering rain clouds coming during the monsoon season, he glorifies his devotees. He says, wow, I'm so fortunate to be to be called Ganesham. I'm so fortunate that my skin color is like your, blackish, bluish hue. So Krishna in this way glorifies the clouds, the thundering clouds, which are his devotees. And then Radhanath Maharaj explains that in return, in reciprocation, the clouds glorify Krishna. They say, actually, you may be called Ganesham, one whose bodily hue is like the thundering black rain clouds, but we don't consider that. We consider our color to be coming from you. We are Sham, and you are Ganesham. So the clouds say, our color is actually coming from you, Sham. And Krishna is saying, my color is coming from you, the clouds. So like that, there's a nice reciprocation between the clouds, Krishna's devotees, and Krishna. So both of them are glorifying each other. So when Krishna hears the clouds glorifying him in this way, Krishna gives them a nice loving glance. And then when the clouds feel the ecstasy of that loving glance of Krishna, they shower down a beautiful mist of very refreshing rain. And it's explained that this rain which falls down is just like nectar. If it touches anyone's body, people get the most intensely beautiful and enlivening feeling when this rain touches their body. And if one chooses to be wetted by this rain, then the rain will wet them. And if one doesn't want to be wetted by this transcendental rain, this shower of nectar which is falling down in Vrindavan, then even though the rain will come, it will not wet you. So this is Vrindavan. Everything is done for the pleasure of Krishna, and all the devotees in Vrindavan are serving each other as well. So if a particular devotee in Vrindavan doesn't want to be wetted by the rain, then although it will be raining, still the devotee will not get wet. So this is Vrindavan. So, so then it starts with the clouds when they shower their rain. Now when these raindrops, which are very nectarian and very refreshing, they touch the different creepers and grasses and plants and shrubs and gulmas and all these different vines and trees, then because the summer season had just finished and everything is parched and everything is dry, almost lifeless, then when this rain touches the land of Vrindavan and the flora of Vrindavan and the fauna, but in this example, the flora, then it becomes very luscious and very green. Different types of very aromatic flowers start to bloom in Vrindavan. The lilies, the lotus flowers, the champaks, right, the malati flowers, the jasmines, and so many different flowers, they start to bloom during this monsoon season in Vrindavan, straight after summer. It's a very refreshing time. Just like spring is a refreshing time, so similarly the monsoon season is also very refreshing and enlivening to the residents in Vrindavan. It's also explained in the Shastra that the trees are the husbands and the vines, they're the wives of the trees. Why? Because you'll see the vines, how do they grow? They grow by embracing a tree. Right? They twirl around the tree, they embrace the tree. So in Vrindavan it's said that the vines which are growing, they're the wives of the trees. And during this monsoon time, when it starts to rain very nicely, these vines, they grow beautiful bunches of flowers. And all this is done to please Krishna. So it starts with the thundering rain clouds, and now we have Vrindavan Dham. All the trees and the bushes in Vrindavan flowering very nicely, and the situation is very green and very luscious in Vrindavan. Now we can talk a little bit about the peacocks. The peacocks, they make a sound, ke-ka, 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 like that. If you've heard a peacock, it's very bad imitation, but something like that. So ke-ka, 2 words. So it's explained, what does ke-ka mean? So ke, when the peacocks say ke, they're asking the question, who is that person in Vrindavan who is that male in Vrindavan who is able to do the most wonderful thing? Now it's explained that Srimati Radharani, her transcendental qualities like shyness and her specifically her man means her loving, jealous, sulky anger. these transcendental attributes and qualities Srimati Radharani has, they're like great mountains, very big and difficult to break, these qualities. They're very powerful qualities that she possesses. But who is that person in Vrindavan who can conquer and destroy these mountains of these beautiful transcendental qualities of Srimati Radharani? That person is Krishna, Krishna Chandra. So when the peacocks say Ke, they're glorifying Krishna. And then when they say Ka, they're asking another question. They're saying, who is that girl in Vrindavan who is able to accomplish the most wonderful thing? So it's explained that Krishna Chandra, Gopinath, in Vrindavan, he is compared to a maddened elephant. An elephant always gets his way. He rampages through Vrindavan, he steals the butter from the gopis. At night, he's enjoying with the gopis. During the daytime, he's enjoying with his friends. He enjoys with his parents. Whatever Krishna desires in Vrindavan, he fulfills his desires. But there's one girl in Vrindavan who can defeat the elephant, the maddened elephant of Krishna, with the goad, right? With the elephant goad of her loving man, her loving jealous anger. And that girl is Srimati Radharani. So when the peacocks, during this, as we know, the peacocks, they start to sing when the clouds are coming, the rain clouds are coming. So when they say Keka, in this way, the peacocks are glorifying Radha and Krishna. And one thing, coming back to what we're focusing on the environmental situation in Vrindavan as to why this Jhulan Yatra festival takes place. So the reason is, because the heat of the summer is still lingering in the atmosphere, right? Things haven't fully cooled down yet. The intense heat is still there. Now this heat, mixed with the water from the thundering rain clouds, it produces a very humid situation. And humidity is not a very comfortable situation. You know, it may be cloudy, it may be raining, but it's still very hot and sticky. So one of the opulences during this humid season is a nice breeze, is a nice cool breeze. So how does one relieve oneself of this intensely humid situation produced in the monsoon season? By sitting on a swing, by fanning oneself, by moving their body through this humid air so that a breeze is created, and the breeze creates a refreshing feeling on one's body. So this is the environmental reason as to why Radha Gopinath's intimate servants in Vrindavan, they create this opportunity for the divine couple to swing, so that they can be relieved from the tribulations produced by the intense humid situation in the atmosphere during that time. So that's the environmental reason. Now, there's also a cultural reason as to why the Jhulan Yatra takes place. Traditionally, I'm not sure if it happens in the rest of India, but at least in Vrindavan, during the monsoon season, during the months of Shravan, culturally what happens is that the young brides, the newly married girls, they get the opportunity to return back to the home of their father for a few days, to visit their home, their childhood home. And just like we see in the Krishna book, when Devaki and Vasudeva are married, then Srila Prabhupada explains that because the girl will feel, the new wife, the new bride will feel separation, too much separation from her, from her family, from her father, from her mother, then the brother of the girl, he assists by taking his sister to the house of her husband. This is explained. So this is according to Vedic culture. So in the same way, culturally speaking, these new brides, they're brought back home to the home of their father from their husband's place, from the place of their mother-in-law, from their in-laws, by their brother. So as we know, Srimati Radharani, her brother is Sridham. So in this regard, there's a nice story which happens. So during the Shravan month, the monsoon season, Srimati Radharani was waiting and waiting and waiting for days and days and days, hoping that someone from Varshana, from her hometown, Vrishabhanupur, will come and take her back to Barshana. She was living with her mother-in-law, Jatila, and her sister-in-law, Kutila, along with her husband, Abhimanyu. Right? And it's explained that Jatila, I mean, they're all pure devotees, but for the sake of pastime, they're a bit hard-hearted, and they weren't treating Radharani properly. So Radharani was waiting and waiting. When will my brother Sridham come and take me? I want to, go back to Barshana, be with my father for some days. So every day, Srimati Radharani was looking towards the pathways which led to Barshana from Yavat. So that's where she was situated, in Yavat, with her in-laws. And then no one came to take her. So then one day it happened during this month that a villager from Barshana, he came to Yavat. And Srimati Radharani recognized this villager. So she went up to this man, this villager, and she said, please tell my father Vrishabhanu, please tell my mother Kirtida about my situation here. I long to come and see them. I long to come and meet them in Barshana. I want to go back. Please send Sridham to come and take me back for some time. I want to go back. So this villager, he went immediately back to Barshana and told this message to King Vrishabhanu. And then immediately Kirtida and Vrishabhanu, upon hearing this message, they said, okay, Sridham, you have to leave. You have to bring your sister. But to appease Radharani's in-laws, Jatila and her father-in-law, Kirtida made sure that she packed a parcel full of really opulent clothes and jewelry and all these things, so that Jatila would be encouraged to allow Radharani to leave Yavat and visit Barshana. So in this way, Kirtida gives this package to Sridham, and Sridham sets on his way, takes the journey to Yavat. He arrives in Yavat, meets Jatila, presents the package to her, and he says, I've come here to take my sister for some time. And then immediately Jatila, she says, no, she can't go. Radharani cannot leave Yavat. She has a lot of housework to do. So she can't leave. And then when Jatila, it's explained that when she actually opens up the parcel and she sees so much opulence is here, so many jewels and clothes are here, then she consents. She says, okay, fine, I accept this, and Radharani can go. She can go with you, but only for a few days. She's needed back here. So in this way, Radharani's brother Sridham, he takes Radharani, and it's explained Radharani embraces Sridham, and she's very glad and very happy, and they set off on a bullock cart back to Barshana. So according to this culture, these new brides, they come back to their hometown, and generally, at least in village life, if a girl doesn't marry a man from the same village, if she marries a man from another village, then the girl has to leave her own village and settle with her husband in another village. So in this way, according to custom, these girls from different villages, because they're married to different men in different villages, they come back to their place of childhood pastimes. So in this way, when Radharani came back to Barshana, she saw that all of her other gopi friends who were also married to different cowherd men, they had also arrived there during this period of time, during the monsoon season. So this was a very perfect opportunity for Radharani to now associate with Krishna, because her husband was not there and her mother-in-law was not there. No one was there, right? So traditionally and culturally, when these new brides, they come back to their hometown, they get together and they discuss and they joke around and they just, they talk about their pastimes and what's happening and what's happening in their married life and all these sort of things. And it's explained that they get together and they usually sit on a swing and they discuss the situation in life. So Radharani and her Sakhis, they were doing that in Vrindavan. They were coming and sitting on the swing. So Krishna, the transcendental trickster, he took this opportunity to devise a way in which he could come and meet Radharani while she was on the swing with her friends, with her gopi friends. So it's explained that Krishna would dress as a gopi or as a merchant, and he would visit the palace of Vrishabhanu in Barshana, and he would pretend to come into the palace to sell different articles to Srimati Radharani. And then he would tell Srimati Radharani that, okay, I'll sell you these things, but I can't give them to you right now. I'll give you them to you at a certain time in the day, at a certain spot, somewhere in the bushes in Vrindavan, somewhere in the kunjas of Vrindavan. In this way, without the knowledge of Radharani, apparently, Krishna would come and meet Radharani, and Radharani would think that, the same person who was the merchant that was going to sell me things, I'm going to meet him in the forest. But then Krishna would come instead. So in this way, the meeting of Radha and Krishna would take place. So then Radha and Krishna, they would sit on the swing, and then, the gopis, they would be playing music, and Vrinda Devi would be there arranging the whole thing, all the different instruments, the weather situations, what bhoga is being cooked for the divine couple, all these different things are being arranged by Srimati Radharani's servants. So that is the cultural aspect behind why this Jhulan Yatra takes place. So we've discussed the cultural aspect, and we discussed the environmental aspect. The environmental being that the swinging motion, it creates a beautiful, refreshing situation for the divine couple during the intense humidity at that period of time. So we can just talk briefly about the swing itself. Traditionally, the swing is decorated with forest creepers. So because this Jhulan Yatra festival takes place in the forest groves and bowers in Vrindavan, the kunjas of Vrindavan, the swing itself also is decorated in the same way. So it's decorated with a lot of leaves, a lot of bright, fragrant and aromatic flowers. And typically, or most significantly, the flower which is used is the malati flower, or the jasmine flower. It's a very fragrant flower which is used to decorate the swing of Radha Krishna. Also, the swing is decorated with garlands of gold and silver. So it's not just flora, it's not just flowers and twigs and leaves which are used to decorate, but also gold and silver garlands are also used. Now, Radhanath Maharaj mentions that the swing is of two different kinds. He says that generally the swing will have enough seating room for two people. So Radharani's Sakhis, they will seat Radharani on the swing along with Krishna, and Radha and Krishna will be swinging. But from time to time, Srimati Radharani, because she feels so much pleasure in facilitating others to meet with Krishna, and this brings Srimati Radharani the greatest happiness and greatest pleasure. That's why Srimati Radharani and Lord Chaitanya, who's in the mood of Srimati Radharani is the original inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement, to connect others, to connect other jivas with Krishna. And in this way, when others are connected to Krishna, she feels an even greater ecstasy. So it's explained that sometimes Radharani would get off the swing and she would invite one of her other friends, one of her other girlfriends, to come and sit upon the swing with Krishna and experience the bliss of Krishna in that way. And this way she would feel very happy. Something amazing, another type of swing in the Jhulan Yatra pastimes is actually shaped like an 8-petaled lotus flower. Right? So there's the whorl, the swing is designed or shaped like that, so in the center there's the whorl. That's where Radha and Krishna will sit, Radha and Gopinath will sit on the whorl. And then the swing has 8 petals, and that's where all the 8 principal gopis, the assistants, the Sakhis of Radharani would sit. So on the outside, the 8 gopis would sit, and in the center, Radha and Gopinath will sit, Radha and Krishna will sit. So in this way, all of them would swing simultaneously at the same time. And you may be thinking, okay, where is this swing connected? Because the swing has to connect somewhere, obviously. So in this way, it's explained the difference between the Kadamba tree and the Tamal tree. Now the Tamal tree, as we know, we have a beautiful Tamal tree in the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan. They're growing in Sri Vrindavan Dham, and their wood is very blackish. We see when Arishtasur, he entered Vrindavan, the bull demon, he entered Vrindavan. Then the gopis, out of fear, they embraced the different Tamal trees because they, in their agony and their bewilderment, they thought that the tamal tree was Krishna himself, because the tree is of the same color as Krishna's bodily hue. So the tamal tree represents Krishna, but there is one flaw with the tamal tree. It's not very strong. Therefore, the swing, which is used in the Jhulan Yatra pastimes, is not attached to the tamal tree. It is, however, attached to the kadamba tree. The kadamba tree, opposite, in juxtaposition with the tamal tree, is very strong and very sturdy, and it is not blackish like Krishna. It is fair, it is more whitish, and its flowers, the kadamba flowers, are bright golden, just like the complexion of Srimati Radharani. So the swing is attached to the kadamba tree and not the tamal tree. This also symbolically demonstrates the power of Srimati Radharani and her ability to overcome and control Krishna. So this the very fact that the swing is attached to the kadamba tree and not the tamal tree shows that the Srimati Radharani is the Madan Mohan Mohini. She is able to control and bring Krishna under her control. So that's something interesting which is demonstrated by these two trees, famous trees in Vrindavan. We're almost coming on time. We can just mention a pastime that I came across. This is in a book called The Glories and Pastimes of Srimati Radharani by His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Swami Maharaj. So this is a pastime which happens in Vrindavan, and it's called Lalita and Krishna in a swing festival. Because generally when we think of swing festival, we think, okay, it's nice, Radha and Krishna, Radha Gopinath, they're sitting on the swing, all the devotees are coming, they're swinging them nicely. But behind this, there's a lot of intrigue, there's a lot of transcendental politics, and so many things are happening for the meeting of Radha and Krishna to take place. So this particular pastime, it shows us that. So basically it starts off by explaining that Narada Muni, the transcendental spaceman, he has a fully spiritual body. So as we know, Narada Muni has the ability to travel anywhere, not only in the material world, but also anywhere in the spiritual world. Narada Muni can go all the way even up to Golok Vrindavan. So what was happening, so I'm not sure if this is happening in Golok Vrindavan or if it's happening in Bhoma Vrindavan, but anyway, Narada Muni was visiting Vrindavan Dham regularly, and he was associating with Srimati Radharani. And Lord Krishna was noticing this. And Lord Krishna told Srimati Radharani, don't associate too closely with Narada Muni, because he's known to agitate the situation and expedite my pastimes. Right? He's known to create conflicts between different people, to make different, he's acting like a catalyst in my pastimes, and I don't want him to do anything, create some situation between us two. So don't associate too close with Narada Muni. We know in the Krishna's pastimes how Narada Muni, he comes and he appears to Kamsa and he tells me, the baby that was supposed to kill you, the 8th child of Devaki, he's already taken birth, he's already in Vrindavan. So in this way, Narada Muni is always expediting and creating obstacles and different things in Krishna's pastimes. He's always there, everywhere. So Krishna, he didn't want Narada Muni to do anything in this way. So he told Srimati Radharani, don't associate too close with Narada Muni. Srimati Radharani told Krishna, she sort of ignored Krishna's advice. She said, my dear Krishna, my love for you is unshakable. No one can get in the way of my love for you. We're inseparable. And in this way, she ignored the advice of Krishna. And she kept associating with Narada Muni. So that happens at a certain point in time. Then sometime later, in a separate incident, Narada Muni, he again enters Vrindavan Dham, and he very beautifully and very melodically is playing his veena, his famous veena. And this actually pleases the transcendental senses of Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan very nicely. They become very enlivened hearing Narada Muni's brilliant veena playing. So much so that Krishna approaches Narada Muni and he tells Narada Muni, I want to give you a boon for this beautiful music that you're playing. Please tell me, anything you want, I can fulfill it for you. Narada Muni says, right now, Krishna, I have nothing to ask for, but I will accept this boon and I will ask something at a later point in time. Okay, so that happens then. Now, let's fast forward some months later, and we come to the Shravan month. We come to the monsoon season in Vrindavan. And what happened is that all the Sakhis, all of Radharani's maidservants had organized a swing festival for Radha and Krishna. But something was happening there. Like Radharani had not appeared on the scene. So everyone had gathered for the swing festival. Krishna was there, all of Radharani's assistants were there, the gopis were there, and they were waiting and waiting and waiting for Srimati Radharani to come. But she just wasn't coming. The time had already passed, she wasn't coming. At that time, Narada Muni appeared on the scene in that bower in Vrindavan. And he saw that, they're just waiting around. What's happening here? So he asks Krishna, what's happening? He asks the gopis, and they say, we have created this swing festival for Radha and Krishna, but we're just waiting for Radharani to come. She hasn't come yet. And then Narada Muni, he goes up to Krishna. He says, Krishna, do you remember that boon that you'd given me some months back? And Krishna says, yes, of course I remember. I don't forget these things. And then Narada Muni says, I want to ask for something. And he says, it is my deepest desire in my heart to see you and Lalita Gopi sit on the swing together. I want to see this. I want to have that divine vision of the two of you sitting on the swing. And Krishna says, fine, sure. That's very easy to do. Now, Lalita, she is very devoted and dedicated to Srimati Radharani. So she didn't herself want to sit on the swing. She would rather want Srimati Radharani to sit on the swing. But it's explained, Krishna sort of grabbed her by force and put her next to him on the swing. And they started swinging together. Why? Krishna did it to please his pure devotee, Narada Muni. Because Narada Muni wanted to behold that darshan of Lalita and Krishna swinging on the swing. So they started to swing, and they were enjoying the pastimes, and Lalita and Krishna, they were very absorbed sitting on the swing, and all the other gopis, they're absorbed in their services of playing musical instruments and so many other things, fanning the chamara like that. And they didn't notice that Narada Muni all of a sudden disappeared from the scene. So where did Narada Muni go? He went to Radharani's house, and he saw that Radharani was actually getting ready to attend the swing festival. She was still getting ready. But he asked her, what are you doing? She said, I'm getting ready. And then Narada Muni said, but don't you know what's happening there right now? Krishna is sitting there on the swing already with Lalita. And Radharani, she gets very suspicious, very angry, a bit agitated in her mind. Her mind starts to reel. And then immediately she follows Narada Muni and she goes to the rendezvous point, to the point where the pastime is taking place. And she doesn't actually go there, but she sees from a distance that Lalita and Krishna are sitting on the swing. And then she gets so angry, again, that's her man. This is the transcendental anger that she exhibits. Again, it's for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna likes to see this mood, which is exhibited by Radharani. Different gopis have a different mood, different bhava in their relationship with Krishna. So Radharani has this for the pleasure of Krishna. And in that sulking mood, that envious mood, we just explained previously that Radharani actually feels the greatest bliss seeing others come in contact with Krishna. But this is for the sake of pastime. So she's demonstrating that jealousy. Why is Lalita sitting on the swing with Krishna? I should be there. So in that sulking mood, she goes back to her house and she starts to cry. After some time swinging with Lalita, Krishna suddenly comes to consciousness and he starts to think, hey, wait a second, I'm doing this for Narada Muni, but where's Narada Muni? He's not even here. And then he realized, okay, I had warned Radharani not to associate with Narada Muni. Narada Muni is up to something. So immediately he gets off the swing, he goes to Radharani's house and he sees Radharani sitting there, crying into her arms. And he asks Radharani what happened, and she says, why should I come and attend this festival? You already have Lalita, you already have the other gopis to swing with. Why should I be there? And Krishna tells her, see, I warned you not to associate with Narada Muni. It's not that I wanted to swing with Lalita, neither did Lalita neither did she want to sit on the swing with me. But I did this simply for satisfying my pure devotee Narada Muni. I had given him a boon and he had asked to take this darshan. So in this way, Krishna convinced and cajoled Radharani in so many different ways, and it took some time. And then finally, as explained, Radharani finally submitted, and she agreed thereupon to always listen to Krishna's advice, to listen to the advice of the trickster, Krishna. And in that way, Radha and Krishna, they went and they continued their swing pastimes. So it just shows some of the dynamics which are happening there. It's not just because if these dynamics were not there, the pastime wouldn't be as enjoyable. The rasa, the taste wouldn't be as enjoyable. If everything was perfectly arranged, Radha and Krishna came, they sat on the swing and they were swung. Okay, it's good, but then in Krishna's pastimes, there's always different twists and turns. So this story is very nice because it just shows that behind the swinging of Radha and Krishna, so many other things, so many other, hidden things are going on that we can be aware of. So we're very fortunate to be participating in this festival, and we're very thankful to Srila Prabhupada to give us this opportunity to take part in this. And we hope that one day we can enter into Krishna's pastimes, actually, and assist in these pastimes, and we can also help other conditioned souls to also take their steps to enter into Krishna's pastimes as well. So, thank you. We'll finish here. Jhulan Yatra Maha Mahotsav ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.